Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Sam Patel and I'm going to be teaching you about crowdfunding and how to raise money for your crowdfunding project. So let's get started. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I've been working on a number of different Kickstarter projects, crowdfunding projects, advising various businesses. My experience, all started because I was running a digital marketing agency before. And then I went to work for Blocks, the modular smartwatch. If some of you don't know what Blocks was, Blocks is a modular smartwatch. You can literally pick and mix the features you want. So if you want a really good GPS tracking, or if you want a really good camera module, you just click it onto your watch. It's a really cool concept, and it raised a ton of money. It raised 1.66 million. So I want to talk to you about how to pitch your project to the press without being ignored. A lot of projects, they have the problem of spreading the word and getting in contact with the right people. And a lot of people have struggled to get in contact with the press. Press get thousands of emails per day, so you need to stand out if your email's going to get answered. But thankfully, I've got some tips and ways for you to, gain some press. So my number one tip is personalize your pitch to the journalist. So a lot of the times there's hundreds of journalists per publication. So TechCrunch, for example, has about 100 different journalists. So these all range from editors to writers to, web developers and all this stuff, but they all fall under the same category. So the main thing you need to do is identify who you need to target. A lot of the times, there's going to be a journalist that covers a range of issues, but you need to see what sort of content they have previously wrote. So the number one rule is personalize your pitch to the journalist. So how do you do this? First of all, you create a Excel. I want you to split this Excel in two tabs. The first tab is Kickstarter and crowdfunding. And then I want you to find all the journalists that have written about Kickstarter and crowdfunding projects. Put the name, put the email, put the contact details, and put a link to the most recent article they did. The second thing is create another tab. So I want you to go zone in here, and I want you to focus on the journalist. So if your product is a hardware product, then I want you to find people that wrote about hardware related stuff. If it's a VR product, AR product, if it's any type of product within your niche, if it's a wearable, identify the journalists that write about wearables, because there's a journalist out there that covers these areas. And again, do the same. Put the name, publication, email, contact details, and a link to the latest article. Once you've done this, you'll have a pretty good idea of who the journalists are you need to be targeting. The second thing I recommend is using the right tools. Half the battle is working out whether the journalist has opened your email, or whether you've got the right email address. I recommend using Yesware. This is Yesware. Yesware is a great product. What it does, it installs into your Gmail, your Outlook. It installs into these email creators, and allows you to track your email. You can track exactly when a journalist opens your email, when they read your email, or if they just don't bother. So this cuts out a lot of the guesswork of figuring out whether the person has opened your email. Secondly, you need to verify the email. You need to work out whether the email you're sending to the right email. So use this website. It's called verify-email.org. These are pretty good journalists, so we can try that. there you go. You've got mike@techcrunch.com. That seems to have been working, so that would go on our list. So that's just one way of seeing whether the person you're contacting has opened the email. The third thing is the subject and the headline. So a lot of the times journalists will do what most normal people do. They will skim read their email inbox. And if you've got 1,000 emails coming in per day, you've got to work out, what people are going to open. So you're going to open that email that's got a great subject line that makes you want to click on it. So you need to work out what types of headlines people are going to open and what types of things are going to convince them to open it. So your subject for that email needs to be really concise and to the point, as well as exciting. So you can use one other tool. This is called Headline Analyzer. There we go. And this lets you literally put in different sorts of headings and work them out. So I'm going to use a smartwatch example. Sometimes this also, this helps you come up with power words, but sometimes it's not the best, so use it accordingly. So it's got a 25% score, which isn't too bad. You can try and make that better. You can add different sorts of information into there to try and make it better. So let's try a different one. Yeah, so this got a much better ranking score. Smartwatch gives you the power to choose your hardware, 44.44%. And it tells you why this is good as well. So a lot of the battle is making sure you've got an amazing subject line, because people are going to open this email because of the subject line. They're going to want to know what your product is about. The next point is forget buzzwords. Although a lot of products are described by buzzwords, in your content, in your email that you send the journalist wants to know to the point exactly what your product is about. Remove the faff, remove the nonsense, explain to them exactly who you are, what you do, what your product is. Very to the point. Give them a couple of sentence pitch about your product. Why is it great? What it does? What's its unique selling point? Give them another couple of lines about who you are, what the founder does, how did your company come about? Are you part of any accelerators? Another key thing is making sure the email is coming out the founder's inbox. Journalists love talking to founders. They don't want to talk to press. They don't want to talk to anyone else. They want to talk to the person that created the product. So that's what you need to do. You need to be messaging. If you're the founder, you need to be messaging from your own email and reaching out to them. 5 is build relationship with journalists. A lot of the reason why a lot of businesses use the press is because they believe they have, personal relationships with journalists. Although this might be the case, founders can also have the same sort of relationship with journalists. A lot of the times it's a case of, the press companies will just purely send an email and it's up to the journalist whether they want to write about it or not. A lot of the work that the press companies do is just identifying the right sort of person. So, if you don't like to get your hands dirty and you don't want to be searching through and trying to identify what journalists to get in contact with, then the press are a good way to do this. The other thing is, the press know how to get in contact with journalists. When you're launching your product and you've got a product ready to show people, you need to be pitching about whether they'd like to see a demo of your project. And this is, if you've got enough time, then I'd highly recommend arranging demo days with the journalists. Ask them, would they like to see your product? Would they like to test it out? Would they like to use it? And, the press would more than likely write about your product if they get hands-on. If you don't have time to show them the product, then you need to email them and tell them, would you be okay accepting the press release under embargo? Under embargo means that the press can't write about the project until a specific time you specify. So if you're launching in a couple of weeks' time, then it's a great way to get in contact with the press and make sure that no one leaks the press. If you're raising a project on Kickstarter crowdfunding, it is very important that the press publish a article after you've gone on the platform. So, a lot of the times as a startup, you're going to be out and about, you're going to be at events, you're going to be meeting a lot of people. And this is the best time to create relationships with the journalists. This is the time when you can talk to them, you can meet them, you can show them your product, they can get hands-on. This is how you develop ongoing relationship. It's not just about using the journalists for when you want to pitch a story. Make sure you're out and about, make sure you're going to startup events. If you're targeting Mike Butcher, for example, from TechCrunch, he's always out and about at various events. Why don't you go down, find out his diary of what events he's going to be at and go to them? He may start seeing you, then you can always drop an email. Hey Mike, I saw you at so-and-so event. Maybe you didn't get a chance to see him. So you can go, oh, we didn't get a chance to speak, but I thought I'd, show you this product, or I'd love to meet you to showcase this product. Or if you get a chance to talk to him, you can also do the same. So it's about creating long-term relationships with the journalists. And this can be done, even if you're not launching your product anytime soon. It's always good to create a relationship. If you've created a relationship a year before the product launches, then the journalist knows, you don't really have an angle. You just met them and you want to talk to them. And, because at the end of the day, everyone's a human. They want to talk to someone real. My last point is you need to be pitching at the right time. You need to be putting yourselves in the shoes of the journalist. They get 1,000 emails per day. So, your timing needs to be perfect. So pitching between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is most likely to get you results. Monday and Friday are bad days. Monday, the journalist is just overloaded. They've just come back into the office. Friday, they're going to be maybe working from home. They're probably, relaxing a bit more. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is the best time to get in touch with your journalist. You need to work out, if you're pitching to journalists all over the world, you need to work out what time zone they're based in. You need to use this information and target them accordingly. At the end of the day, contacting the press is going to require some patience. It's going to require a lot of follow-ups. It's going to require a lot of hard work. With everything, it's not a case of just sending an email and getting a response. Imagine the amount of times you've had a sales guy emailing you. How many times have you responded to one of them? If a guy keeps chasing you, you're more likely to respond to them, right? Even if it's just to say, hey, sorry, not interested. So persistence is the key, as well as strategy. With anything you do, you need to strategize and you need to execute. You can also, as a bonus tip, you can chase up journalists on Twitter if you need to. Say, hey guys, or hey, did you manage to get my email? But another thing to do is, why not engage with the journalists on Twitter? If they wrote a really cool article, you can share that article and say, hey, pretend you've got a question, or ask them directly, look, I saw this article, I saw the information you provided on this, what do you reckon this smartwatch is going to have a future? Is it going to work? Do you reckon modularity is the way forward, etc.? You can also, just share out the articles that they write and tag them. If they see that you've been sharing out the articles on a regular basis before you get down to the business of asking them, then that they might show you some love towards the end of launch. So that's pretty much the end of how to pitch to the journalist. There's going to be some links of how to lay out your Excel. There's also going to be some email drafts of templates that I've used that have generated me responses. So, watch out for the links below and leave your comments, leave your suggestions for the next sort of videos you'd like to get. And if you're launching a crowdfunding project, give me a shout. I'm always happy to talk to startups. Thanks for listening and good luck. Sam it out.